Welcome in, I'm Artris, and in this video we're going to be going over Yellow Katakuri from OP03. This leader has gotten a few pieces of support in OP10, or at least the yellow card pool has gotten a few new pieces that actually kind of synergize with what this leader is trying to do. So I figured let's try to implement some of those cards into the deck list and see how it does. But before we go over the deck list, the leader, and everything in between, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to drop a sub, and if you enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys all for the support. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, make sure to join the Discord. The link for that is in the description below. Now, Katakuri, if you're unfamiliar, is a 5-life leader from OP03 that says Dawn times 1 when attacking. Look at the top card of you or your opponent's life area, and then you can put it at either the top or the bottom of the life area. Then this leader gains 1,000 power for this battle. So for only one Dawn, you're able to swing for 7,000. You get to see you or your opponent's life and also manipulate that life in any way you like, which is a generically strong effect, which is why I think Katakuri will probably be the go-to yellow leader for quite some time, even though Enel has been pretty strong. But one thing that is for sure is that with Katakuri, he has been very polarizing since his release because of the 10 cost Big Mom being able to trash a life and then heal a life. That has been a really big point of contention for a lot of gamers in the One Piece card game space. Just the fact that this thing trashes a life and is a huge body that's hard to answer is not necessarily a fun thing to play around. So I figured let's add some of these new trash life cards that we get in OP10 into the deck list. But what does that mean for the deck list identity overall? I think that means that we're trying to take out some of the Big Mom Pirates package, and I'm not sure if this is the correct way to build this, but I do think that this is an interesting way to build it. So bear with me here. I do have a couple of builds I want to go over, but first, this build that we have here, we're running 2 Shirahoshi, just a solid 2-cost blocker. I think we're seeing a resurgence of small chump blockers be put back into the deck list of a lot of decks because of the fact that black is not being played nearly as much, and so some of these blockers can actually sustain themselves over the course of a game, and Shirahoshi being one that if you KO it, you heal a life, is just the cherry on top. So this is a good card. I don't want to have too many of it. I was trying it out at 4. We'll go over deck list in a second, but this one I decided to put it at 2. Of course, 10 cost Big Mom, which I just talked about, is going to be a 4 of because this is meant for Katakuri, obviously pudding as well, but mostly meant for Katakuri. We're running 4 Capone Beige, the best 2K counter in yellow in my opinion, just being able to stop an attack with the trigger. Super powerful here. Of course, this would be even better if this was not just the Fire Tanks Pirates and it was actually Supernovas instead, or at least in addition to, so that we could search it out. But alas, that'd be too broken, I suppose. And then we have 4 Satori. The way that Katakuri kind of plays is it wants to have good triggers come out of life, and especially if those triggers are bodies. And so Satori is one of those triggers that's a pretty solid body to come out of life. A 5-cost body is rather difficult to deal with when it comes out immediately. And if your opponent doesn't have a direct answer to the Satori, it will be able to swing the following turn, which is very nice, of course. Then we're running 4 Onami, a good trigger to KO a lot of 5-cost bodies, which I just mentioned. 5-cost bodies are very prevalent in the OP10 meta, and so Onami being a trigger that KOs the 5-cost or lower body, but then also the on-play, if you want to just cast it, gives your leader or a character banish. So if you are on 3 Dawn, you can play this down on your 3 Dawn turn, give your leader banish, and then swing in for 7. So that's a pretty good play, at least to start the game off with. Then we're running 3 Kikunojo, a 4-cost 6,000 power body. There were a lot of times where I actually just ended up taking this out of yellow decks because with the amount of trashing and bottom decking that had been occurring, especially in the Sakazuki days, this card didn't really sit on the field very long, but now that's not really the case. There's not too many ways to just easily remove this. Obviously, you can bend Beckman in if you're in Shanks, or red, I guess, not just Shanks, but then you also have like bottom decking effects, which not a lot of control blue decks are doing that. You do have some bouncing effects with like Kairos, of course. I'm being too specific. The point being here is that Kikunojo nowadays last on the field a lot easier. Another way to deal with a lot of the 5-cost bodies that is not so luck-sacky like the Onami is the Nami 5-cost that says you can trash a card with trigger from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So it establishes a body and then gets rid of a 5-cost. And if you're at 3 or less, which sometimes you are, you can draw a card off of that. And the trigger is just activate the on-play. You don't get to actually play this out with the trigger, but you do get that nice KO effect. I'm having some issues trying to find like deck space to add more Nico Robins because I really think that this card should be a 4 of, or at least a 3 of in this deck. But I have it as a 2 of for now because I wanted to include more 4 or 3 ofs in other different areas. And so this Robin, of course, on play, if your opponent has 3 or more life cards, trash up to one of the top cards of your opponent's life. So trashing life is the name of the game here. We're trying to just either swing into bodies and then use the on plays of some of the cards that we have. to be able to just get rid of the opponent's life over the course of a game, or just really pressure them once we have trashed a fair amount of life. So a new addition that helps with that trashing of life is Basil Hawkins from OP10. The on KO is trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life cards. Then the trigger is also draw 2 cards and discard 1. So there's just a lot of upside to running this. So this is a 4 of, in my opinion, a good card to, at least on your 5 Dawn turn, play this down for 4. Swing in for 7 with your leader ability, see what they have or see what you have, whatever you prefer. You can also just be happy to see this come out of life because of the fact that you get to filter your hand. So that's very nice, of course. And to be able to search it out, we have 4 of the Luffy from OP10, just looks at the top 5 of your deck and reveals 1 card with a supernova type other than Luffy, and then add it to the hand. Then put the rest of the cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. So normally we would be running puddings, or we would be running like Pero Sparrows, but we took all of that out for this deck. We are putting in the Supernova package, which we do have a fair amount of targets to be able to at least search off of with this. Now, we don't have as many as we would if we were running the Big Mom Pirates package, which there's an argument that that is probably more consistent and maybe even better at the end of the day. But we're trashing life here. We're trying to trash as much life as possible. In order to do that, we need to be able to search out our 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd. It's an 8-cost 9,000 power body from OP10 that says, on play, you may rest this character and trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life cards. Then at the end of your turn, if your opponent has 2 or less life cards, draw 1 and discard 1 from your hand. The filter is a really nice add-on to this card because with Katakuri, you do have a lot of bricks over the course of a game, and being able to pitch those out when you don't need them is very useful. And of course, if you can drop this down right before you drop down Big Mom, so if you're on like 9 Dawn and you play this Eustace Captain Kidd, you can trash a life, swing in for 7, and then the following turn play the Big Mom, and then they're probably down to 0 at that point, and they have to defend everything either with blockers or with what's in their hand, and that's asking for a lot from a lot of decks these days. To help with the consistency of Luffy, we have added a playset of the X-Drake 2K counters from OP10. This is a great way to rest blockers at the end of the game. There's another deck list that I've been running, that I've been testing out besides this one, which will show shortly after this, where I was having issues getting past blockers, and so X-Drake helps you get past those blockers by being able to rest those characters. Either like you can swing into them if you're trying to just clear the field, or you can just swing past them if you're trying to go for game. So this is a very nice utility 2K, of course. We're running 4 0-cost event because of the fact that this trigger is so good, and if we can at least place 1 in our life area at the bottom of our life, then we probably will end up winning those games more often than not. The trigger, of course, being if you have 0 life cards, put the top card of your deck onto your life pile, then trash 1 card from your hand. The 0-cost part being that you can actually just pitch your bricks and then have counter for those bricks, which is super useful. So amazing card to have in the deck overall. Running 1 Flame Split, which is another way to get past some of these pesky blockers, and especially for cheap, only 1 Dawn, being able to rest a 4-cost and then giving your leader that 1,000 power. So you are going Dawn neutral with this card, very nice to see. And of course the trigger being able to just rest up to one of your opponent's 4-cost or lower characters, also very useful at times. And then finally I'm running 2 of the Damn Punk Electromagnetic Cannon. 4-cost event from OP10, can be searched out with by the Luffy. It says main, look at up to 1 card from the top of you or your opponent's life cards, and then place it at the top or bottom of your life cards, so it's an additional Katakuri effect, and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So another way to remove those pesky 5-cost cards in the meta. The trigger is also very nice, of course, being able to filter your hand, so it's a draw 2, trash 1. Can't ask for much more than that. I think that overall, this deck list is pretty solid, but I was running a deck list that was very close to this, I suppose. As you can see, I have quite a lot of decks here. So this is the other version I was running, and you're probably going to see over the course of this video a culmination of both of these. So as you can see, it's very similar to the previous one, but I think the big difference here is that I was running more Shirahoshi blockers, which I kind of found over the course of time not super useful to have 4 of them. 2 of them is fine, 4 is too much. I would like to add this Katakuri into the first deck list, which I think is the better of the 2, but this Katakuri is a great way to answer 8-cost Captain Kidd if there are some green decks you're going against. I was running 2 Braham, I think is how you pronounce it, or Brahm, or however you want to. This is a 3-cost 4,000 power body. The main thing here is it's an activate main once per turn. Place a 1-cost stage at the bottom of its owner's deck. So this is specifically anti-Blackbeard tech, and this says rest up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 4 or less. So this is very useful because you can bottom deck the full of lead and then rest the Burgess and swing into it. Hopefully you can get rid of it at that point, but you know, Braum is really good in those regards. I was running one more Nico Robin, running less X-Drake. I wasn't even running the Luffy Searcher, so I didn't have anything to do early. Maybe that's a better way to play it. I'm not entirely sure. Personally, I like the first Catalyst we showed. I think that's the better one of the two, or at least the more consistent one, and trying to at least get the game plan of finding your 8-cost Captain Kid. But there will be a couple of games, I'm assuming, but I will take both of these and kind of play a couple of games and see how they do. Overall, I think Katakuri's in a pretty good spot. I don't necessarily think it's an amazing deck. I think Yellow is kind of just in a weird spot right now. Not that Raigo hurt Katakuri. I just think that Yellow has a really hard time with like removal right now, and with boards that can be very aggressive and go wide very fast, Katakuri has issues with that. And so I don't think Katakuri is necessarily an awful pick for regionals or whatever it may be that you're wanting to take it to. I think it's a pretty solid deck overall. It's pretty easy to at least learn. The skill cap is not very hard to at least get past. So I think Katakuri is worth exploring. I do really like the addition of this kid. So let's take these decks into the sim and see how they do. Purple Luffy is not a deck we really want to go against. To be honest, like I think a lot of decks we don't want to go against as Katakuri, but I think Purple Luffy is definitely one of the stronger decks right now in the meta. It will be interesting to see how this deck list fares against Luffy, especially if we can crit their life. Because of course, Luffy, their life is their best resource. Being able to use their leader ability to draw that life is super important for them. So if we can at least like maybe chip away at a life or two with cards like Captain Kid, then maybe we'll be in a good spot. We'll go ahead and take this first one because I just want to see what we get. Frankie, you could get the draw off of it, but I think it's better just to get the 2K going instead. I also think that this Nami is super important to hold on to, so I don't want to at least get rid of it for counter just yet. Because of the fact that we do need to be able to answer something from their next turn at least. That would be really useful. I think this turn we can probably just swing 5 and then play down a Kiku Nojo. That 8-cost Katakuri is pretty good as well. So as you can tell, this is the second deck list here where I'm playing the 8-cost Katakuri. I hopefully can use it against Luffy Taro, but I think that they just ramp so fast, we might not have a good opportunity to play it. I would rather just play the 8-cost Kid instead. So they give us a 1K swinging 5. This is a little bit awkward going second with this deck, is that some of our curve is like 4, 6, 8, and so we're just never using our leader ability going second sometimes. So that could be a little bit of an issue, but I think we'll probably be able to use it this next turn at least. They're probably going to go Luffy Taro, like Sangoro. That's usually like the perfect curve for them. If they go like Zorojuro, Luffy Taro, Sangoro, always a pain to see. This one, I think we can probably just counter out and maybe give him a 2K. I know it feels weird giving him a 2K, but we could also give him Nami as well. There's an argument for that. They just didn't even have so they didn't have a second body. Unfortunate for them. Sometimes it happens. Purple Luffy is known to whiff on some of these from time to time. It's not always perfect, but at least they have a couple bodies on the field. Here, because I used my Nami to counter out, I'm going to go ahead and use the Damned Punk to at least see what the top life is. So we have a Satori trigger. Nice. We'll swing 7 at lead, see what they have on the top of their life. I think it's fine giving them another Luffy Taro. The fact that they didn't have anything to play off of the first one may mean they now have another thing to play off of the second one. So that's not really an issue. Okay. They counter out 2-1. I don't think they're going to counter out of the second one, which is fine. I don't think that I would either if I was Purple Luffy. There's an argument that they could have played like Frenosuke, but I mean, that's probably like the worst option to play off of the Luffy Taro, so it is what it is. So yeah, they take it. They go down to 2. This next turn could be a Big Mom, or it could be a 9-cost Luffy. So hopefully, for the sake of like competition, they have either of those. I don't think Luffy Taro is necessarily going to be super impactful if they play it again. I think it's fine for us. I would feel more scared, at least, if they played like a 9-cost Big Mom, I think. Here, they are just going to swing 5, and because we have the Satori, I think we can actually just let this go and trigger, so we can get, pitching the 8-cost Katakuri, get a body out on the field. I really hope that they swing into this Kiku Nojo, but most of the time, opponents do not. Yeah, I didn't figure as much. We'll go ahead and block that one, and then if they want to have a rush Luffy and swing into the Kiku Nojo, be my guest. Okay, so it's a Lin, kind of annoying here. So they do pitch the Luffy Taro, get it out of the hand. I assume they're going to put the Kiku Nojo back in life. And then this turn, we can actually just swing 5, which is also really annoying for Luffy, swinging a bunch of 5s. But they'll probably counter out of at least one of them, maybe even both. Who knows? We'll swing 5 again, and then we're going to play the 8-cost Kid. Now, I am fully expecting this thing to die this next turn, unfortunately. Oh, they counter out of both. Love to see it. So we at least trash that life that they put up there with Big Mom. I guess we'll go ahead and get rid of the Nami. Might be an issue there to get rid of this Nami because of the fact that we could use the Nami to try to go for game if they put up any blockers, but I think it's okay for now. This turn, we just hope to protect the 8-cost kid. It's very easy for them to get rid of it. They could just poke it down 3 times, and on the third one, it would definitely go. But this next turn, we can actually play the 10-cost Big Mom and crit another life, which is pretty important. So they go 5 into 5. We're just going to let that one go because we want to hold on to our counter for if they decide to swing at the kid, which they will likely swing with the Lin first to at least test the waters. And I'll give them a 2k here. And if they decide to put any Dawn on the Luffy Taro, then they don't even need to. They have the 9-cost Luffy. So despite them missing the 7-cost Luffy Taro, like cheat out a body, they are still in a really good spot here. They had pretty much the perfect curve outside of that. If they had like another body on the field, like a Sangoro, I think we would have pressured the Zoro Juro instead of life that one turn. Oh, we do get a nice little trigger with the Kikunojo there. Pretty good to see. Here we'll just go 5 at lead. Then we'll go 6 at lead with the Kikunojo. Once again, Purple Luffy will probably counter out of both of these because they need to keep their life as high as possible. And I think they understand that the 10 drop's coming down this turn. When you swing 5 with your lead as Katakuri, yeah, it means the 10 drop's coming down. Here, I think that we're in a pretty good spot unless they play another 10-cost or another 9-cost Big Mom. So it's just a battle of the Big Moms at this point. Do they have another one? If they do, I think that that actually might mean they're in a pretty good position. They could potentially go for game here if they have another rush unit, but it just depends on how they swing. Regardless, I think I'm in a pretty good spot because I have a 0-cost event and a 1k. 8 to 5, okay. I think we hold on to this one because we might need it depending on if they decide to go all out. 9, I think we'll take it. We'll use the Basil Hawkins trigger. Draw 2, trash 1. Well, I mean, this is pretty good overall. We're going to hold on to the Nami just in case they do put up a blocker. It's fine. And then if they go 10 here, what does that mean for the rest of their swings? I feel like it... Oh, they just decided to go with Kikunojo. Okay, well, they can have that one. I don't think they can close out the game is why they're swinging like that. Interesting. They're going to have to block her up for sure. Oh, they had a Sanji. So they had another rush unit. So let's see if they had done it like 7. I would have probably taken another 7. I would have countered out. We would have been actually probably fine at the end of the day, but because they went ahead and they can't lethal us this turn, I'm gonna go ahead and just, gosh, we got all the triggers in the world. Get that Satori body out. I think getting rid of the Nico Rub in there is fine. They have 3 Dawn left. Could it be a blocker and then 1 for Gum Gum Giant? Not entirely sure. I think we just swing 12 first because it means they have to have 2 Gum Gum Giants, 1 that they're using, and then they have to draw into another one. They have 1. There's a world where they have 2. But that is an incredibly lucky world for this Purple Luffy, if that's the case. Getting rid of an Uso Hachi. They have a second. They drew into the second one? Oh my god. Maybe I should have just swung 13. That's insane. This Gum Gum Giant is just incredibly broken here. We're just going to go 9 at lead. This one should go through unless it's like another Gum Gum Giant into like a counter. If that's the case, then I definitely lose. And then I'm just going to put the rest on and swing in. Gum Gum Giant makes me doubt myself. I thought I had game for sure. I mean, we probably do, but even then it seems really close. 2k, 2k, and we have it. 2k. Wow, those Gum Gum Giants got them such good counter. That's incredible. I think that the only thing that they could have done different is maybe pressure lifed a little bit harder towards the end, but I think I would have been able to counter out of it depending on how they swing. With all of these bodies on the field, I had 4 life. I would have been able to at least counter out of one of them, so we should have been fine either way. All right, against Lim, the flavor of the month here, I'm going to mulligan this hand because of the fact that I just want to not have to worry about pitching cards from hand with the Nami, and the 10 cost is probably a little bit too far off anyway, especially with how aggressive Lim is. They're playing Orochi. They didn't see the Smile Fruit. We're going to counter out of this first one with the 2k, which means that the Smile is either in their hand or it's in life. So that's an interesting little thing that they have going on with this Orochi 2k. We'll swing 5 at lead. We'll throw down the Kikunojo. Of course, they're going to take it because of the fact that Lim likes to take life, at least the first 2, so they have more resources to protect the bodies later on. And that means that at 3 life, they're probably not going to swing into this Kikunojo ever. I'm going to go ahead and counter out with a 2k here, and then we'll probably just take the Newgate hit and see what we get for a trigger. That's unlucky. We didn't use our leader ability to at least put that at the bottom. Always a pain. They do have a 6-cost Sakazuki. Really good card here to KO the Kikunojo. Just get some tempo on the field, get rid of a body. I do heal off of that, of course, but then we trash one of their lives in return. This 6-cost Sakazuki is such a good card. In my Limb video, I was running more top end, and I think the 9-cost Zoro is a really good card overall, but I do think that the Sakazuki from this green Sakazuki here is much needed in the Limb deck. We're going to counter out as much as possible. We'll go ahead and use the damn punk trigger to draw 2 trash one. We'll trash one of the Kikunojos. We don't need 2 of them in our hand. We're going to take the other 7. We could have countered out of one of those, or at least both of them, but I think it's fine to just go ahead and get some counter in our hand and then worry about countering out later once they try to go for game. They have a really wide board, which is usually pretty scary for Katakuri. I'm imagining they're going to block here. But regardless, I think we're going to be okay here. We'll go 6 at lead. We're just ignoring their board, and we're just trying to pressure their hand and pressure their life with all of these bodies. They have not gotten 2 cards, so we've denied them 2 cards over the course of the game. Really awesome to see. Really cool here. We'll counter out of the 5 with the Basil Hawkins. We'll counter out of the 6 with the 2K, unless they're trying to go... Okay, we'll counter out of that one easily with the 1K. We're not going to be playing a blocker. I don't think it's worth playing a blocker against Limb. They can just rest it easily. Counter out with the 2K. Go 7. We'll take this one. I don't want to drop 2 cards in a single counter. We'll take the other 7, of course. And we'll see what they throw down. They have a lot of Dawn left. They have 9 Dawn. So, they could be playing Zoro, but it seems like they're probably not. We'll go ahead and use the trigger here just to get the body out into the field. This body could be useful. Not that the effect would ever take place because they don't run any stages in Limb, but I think that just having 1 additional body is probably really good for going for game in this final stages where they have 1 life, 1 blocker, and assumably they're going to have like 3 cards in hand. Okay, so they're going to use the Mihawk to restand the Dofi. They put a lot on, and they're going to swing 11 at lead, I guess. Where's this going? If it's going at the kid, I can just easily counter out of that one. So I don't know if putting me to 0 or trying to get rid of the kid is better. I think just probably maybe getting rid of the kid is fine. We'll see. They use their last bit to... Oh, they use the Nami thinking that a 10-cost Big Mom is coming, but guess what? It's not. Now we can just probably math it out. We'll go 9 at lead, and then we'll just go ahead and do a quick 7. Yeah, we'll just do a quick 7. See our life. It's a 0-cost event. We had one in there anyway. Good to see. And yeah, they didn't have counter to be able to get out of that. That was a little bit scary because they had a really wide board, but I think if we just pressure face, ignore their board, and just like crit life where we can, this deck looks pretty solid. All right, Red Purple Sugar is hyper defensive here. I really like this hand because we're going second, so we can get a couple of searches off with the Luffys. This is the Luffy build, of course. So like I mentioned in the intro, playing out a couple different builds here. So this one will at least be able to see how useful these Luffys are. We at least can grab, I guess the Damn Punk is our only option there, and we'll play another one to see what else we can get. Grabbing the Basil Hawkins, definitely our best 4-Dawn turn play, because this is going to be very difficult for Sugar to answer. Nice to see. Of course, we won't be able to use our leader ability off the bat. We'll go ahead and take this one just to see if we get anything off of life. Unfortunately, we don't, but our hand is looking pretty good, at least with counter. We'll go ahead and... Is it worth swinging? I don't think it's worth swinging, to be quite honest. Sometimes you can starve them out. Sometimes you... not starve them out, but like you can prevent them from ramping up. So I think I'll just at least do that for the time being. Go ahead and give them a Capone. And I think here... Yeah, the Rosie's their best play, but I think this next turn we can probably just efficiently swing because of the fact we have a Hawkins on the board. Hawkins at least will be able to prevent them from wanting to swing into the Hawkins. I don't think they're going to want to trash life. Who knows? Maybe they will. Sometimes people will do that kind of stuff. I think what we can end up doing, though, is we can go ahead and play out the Nami after we swing. We'll go ahead and swing 7, see what we have. Nami is fine as well to have in life, just in case they throw down another 5-drop. We'll go ahead and play out the Nami. Pitch out the Damn Punk, get rid of the Rosie, and then pass turn from there. And then this next turn, we're going into 8 Dawn, so what we can end up doing is just, if they let this Hawkins live, we can just swing 5, 5, 5, and then play out the 8-cost kid, trash the life, then filter something from our hand, and I think we'd be in a pretty good spot. The only thing that's going to be very difficult about this Sugar is that we are trying to push for game at some point. Yeah, as I expected, they're ignoring the Hawkins. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the Satori. I want to hold on to the Shirahoshi blocker because of the fact that they really can't answer it too easily. And they probably will play out the 10 cost Shanks at some point, and that will be a great way to at least stop that attack. Seeing the 10 cost Big Mom means at least we now have a plan for our 10 Dawn turn, so that's very good here. We're going to hit him for 3 5s if we possibly can. I don't imagine that all of these are going to go through, if any, but I will say that if you do swing 5s against Sugar, it's really annoying because of the fact that they don't have too many counter in hand based off of like cards or characters. They have just a lot of counter events, and so countering out of a 5k swing with a counter event isn't the best. Of course, if it's like Ice Igloo or whatever this is called, it's fine. But we'll go ahead and use the Katakuri, Trash a Life, and then we'll pitch the Kikunojo because it's a dead card at this point. We don't need it. And now we have a pretty sizable board, which we'll be able to... we could protect this one. I think we do. I think we just protect it. Because like if they swing 6 into it, swing 6 into life, we can have that one. We'll go ahead and use the Nami trigger to get rid of the Senor Pink. Draw a card off of it because we're at 3 or less. Play 8-drop into Senor Pink, grabbing Noro Beam, so that's pretty good to see there. Just means that we have to play the 10 cost Big Mom first, Trash a Life, and then swing with the 8 cost Kid to at least get something out of hand. I imagine they'll probably use a Noro Beam at some point to rest either the Hawkins or the Nami from swinging. Depends on what they have in hand, though, of course. Could be a whole multitude of different things, so we'll see. But I think we're at a pretty good spot here because of the fact that Sugar just doesn't heal. And so now we could, this next turn, if they don't have any blockers, just put all on Big Mom and swing 22. That'd be pretty nice. Okay, so they have a, what was it? The Hell's Judgment to minus the Kid and then minus the Nami, prevents them from swinging. If they have another one, that'd be pretty good as well. Prevent the Hawkins and my leader from swinging. Then they would have to block her up for sure. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. All right, using the Ice Igloo, yeah, as imagined, just to be able to prevent an additional attack from happening. So they stopped a Nami attack and a leader attack with just 2 counter events. Overall, very efficient from the Sugar standpoint, but it might be not enough for this final swing. We'll see what they do. They have 10 Dawn. I don't know what would prevent them from, or at least, yeah, prevent them from dying this next turn. A 10 cost Shanks is not going to be it, though. I'll tell you that. So we'll see what they do. Probably 5, 6, 9, maybe blocker, and then leave the rest up for any kind of counter events. We could protect it, I suppose, but I'm afraid that they might swing really big into the Kid. I think we just let that go. Let's trash their life. They don't have life, but we're trashing it anyway. Yeah, I could have protected it, but I think the fact that if we protect that, they might swing bigger into the Kid, and I want to at least make sure that the Kid stays alive, because having a couple of big swings will be nice. Even with all of like a huge swing, yeah, that's good. Even like a huge swing with a Big Mom is probably not going to be good enough. We'll go ahead and take this one. I don't feel confident enough, rather, because of the fact that what, they just passed with 10 Dawn. Did they give up? No, there's no way. Am I getting? I'm getting baited right now. Do they have that? Let's just try it out. Let's see what they got. Let's see what they got. 22. They instantly, they snap, did the 1 Dawn, so they have something. Okay, so Noro Beam to probably rest the Kid. +2, right? Yeah, +2, rest the Kid. Are they doing it? I'm kind of rooting for them, actually. Little Black Bears, so they get to go +4 plus draw a card. That's pretty good. That's really good. Okay, 2K. What else do they have? Hell's Judgment. Oh my gosh. So I can't swing with lead. That's fine. Little Black Bears to draw. Oh my god, they might have it. 2? They might actually have it. Oh my god. What? They were so close. They were so close. If they had 2 more Dawn, obviously they had 10 open, but if they had 2 more Dawn, they might have been able to pull it out. They might have been able to stop it with Hell's Judgment, potentially. I don't know. Hard to say what they could have gotten out of, but wow. Yes, my favorite leader, Usopp. Hopefully we don't get clowned on, but I will probably get clowned on because they just go really wide. 10 cost Big Mom's not too bad, but the problem is their 7-drop turn puts a lot of pressure on me, so I have to be very careful to like keep in mind that I'm not going to be able to drop both 10 cost big moms, and they do block her up, which will be a pain in my butt because then I will not be able to at least swing for lethal with all the blockers and big mom. Of course, we'll swing 7. They should block this one, and then we'll play out the X Drake. There's an argument to play out. I mean, actually, there's not an argument because we couldn't have used the X Drake, so it didn't matter. We'll put it there for the next turn though. They might be able to play out like Zoro if they have it, but that means they're resting their leader, not pressuring our face. They do get the Zoro. They do get a Rebecca, the 7 cost Rebecca. So they have some combo pieces going. Yeah, they use the Zoro to pop the X Drake right now. That's totally fine. We don't really have any other plays, so we're just going to use this Onami to banish a life. They're running Solomon, so we're going to go ahead and banish a one-legged soldier instead. And then, because I don't want the Solomon in life. Solomon in trash is what I don't want, because they can just get it back out with the Frankie. I guess they could get the one-legged soldier out with Frankie, but it's less effective. We'll go ahead and trigger the Satori here. This could be a 7 cost Rebecca into a Kairos into whatever else they want. And if that's the case, that means they bounce the Satori back to hand, which we pitched a 0 cost event if that's the case. They just have a Frankie into a Cavendish. Quite annoying. Don't have a lot here that I can do. I'm going to go 7 face because no matter what, they'll probably block with the Frankie. We're going to put the 0 cost event at the bottom of life, of course. Good to see that there. I almost want to get rid of this. Oh, gosh. I kind of want to get rid of this Cavendish. I'm not going to lie. I think getting rid of the Cavendish kind of makes sense. We'll swing 10 into it and put a Shirahoshi blocker down. I guess there's an argument to also swing into the Leo. But does it really matter if they have like a 7 cost Rebecca on this turn? Because the Leo is going to be going anyway. I don't really know if it matters too much. 7 cost Rebecca, yep, as I said, went away. They're going to probably bounce the Shirahoshi back to hand and then swing into the Satori. I guess it's fine. What that means is we can just play Big Mom the next turn, crit some life. We should counter out of this one with the... Just take this one, actually. I was thinking about getting rid of the Shirahoshi, but that's fine. The Capone is actually pretty good here because it means it stops the Zoro from attacking, which we would have probably dropped A2K anyway. They just play that Rebecca, so they cannot swing with it. They might want to swing with the other one, swing 6, but I think, yeah, just playing an EDO is fine. Blockering up. We'll go 5 at lead, see if they take it. They'll block more than likely. Actually, it might be better. I was going to say it might be better to just counter out there because then they'd have 2 blockers up for the next turn. But I don't know. It's fine. They could Red Rock us here if they're running it, but I don't know if Usopp is running too many Red Rocks these days. I have been running Red Rock recently, but I don't know. Oh my god. Now I'm going to get clowned on. Double King Kong gun? Are you kidding me? Okay. Well, they're at 16 in trash. It was nice knowing you guys. Yeah. Yeesh. Okay. So Onami to... I guess we can get rid of the Frankie and maybe cheese a win here if we possibly can. Holy moly. We're getting clowned on for sure. This is interesting. This is why Usopp's so good against like Katakuri in the sense that they went really wide and then they have King Kong gun to just like pressure face. Another King Kong gun, we're going to take it, but we have the 0 cost event, of course. We'll get a Kiku Nojo out. Pretty nice to see there. We'll pitch the 0 cost event to put something in life, and then we should be able to counter out of the leader attack. The Kairos we'll just let hit for sure. They should go like 8, 9, or maybe they go like 6, put a blocker up, and go 9. Yeah, we'll counter out of this one. 9. Oh, another 0 cost event. I'll take it. Yeah, okay, cool. We might be able to go for game. I think it might be worth going for game here. I think we can rest the EDO with the X Drake. I don't know if we can survive another onslaught of attacks by playing a Big Mom. So let's go ahead and just try this out. We'll rest. And then we can go 9 with Kiku Nojo. They have 4 cards in hand, so it has to be like all 2Ks for the most part. 2-2-1. 2-2-1. Okay. This has to be a 2K. That's asking for a lot here. Wow. They have it. They had it. Good for them. Good for them. There's no way we pushed through at that point, but wow, they certainly had it. I'm going to choose second against Teach. Arguably the best deck in the format right now, but also one of our nightmare matchups because once we hit the late game, we do not get any of our on plays. We do get some of our early on plays like the Luffy Searcher, but I think that's probably it. I don't imagine that we're going to get too many after this. They decided to swing 8. We'll just take it. Capone Beige would have been nice to put at the bottom, but unfortunately we didn't even get a chance to look and see. They could use their leader ability here. I think we just go ahead, because they didn't, we'll go ahead and play out the Onami and then banish in for 8. See that we have a Satori off the top of life, which is nice because it's a body that we can swing in with some extra pressure. We are able to crit a Doc Q. Not super efficient there. I mean, or not like the worst thing for them, I suppose. We'll go ahead and drop a Capone in hopes that we are able to play out a Nico Robin this next turn. But yeah, they black hole us. That is unfortunate. So I guess what we could do, we could establish the Nico Robin, but with the Van Augur on the field, doesn't really make sense too. So I'll just swing 5 with the Onami. We'll swing 5 with the Luffy. And then we'll swing 7 with our leader. What did we have? Satori. I probably should have just looked at their life. Sometimes when I'm playing Katakuri, like I'll just be like, what did I have? I looked at it just a second ago and I already forgot. Okay, so they use leader ability immediately. They're pitching out the Burgess to play a Kuzan, draw a card, bring out the Burgess. Great combo there. They'll get rid of the Onami, totally fine. Not an issue. 6 and a 2, get rid of that. We can just go ahead and just play swing 5 at lead. And then I'm going to go ahead and play out this Eustace Captain Kidd. Even though we don't get the on play with it, we do get the draw at the end of the turn, which is kind of nice to filter out the hand. We're never playing the Nico Robin at this point, so no point there. And this Kid is probably going to be very difficult for them to get rid of. They could go like Van Augur. They do have like the Stronger, and then maybe be able to get rid of something from there. But regardless, it could be a very difficult turn this next turn for them. They do have to consider that 10 cost Big Mom might be coming down, and they're going to have to use Black Hole at this point. Their leader ability is super efficient against us. Of course, the Liberation there, they'll swing 7. I think we can take this one because we have the Satori, so we get an extra body out onto the field. Nami rather, will probably never have an effect, so we can just go ahead and pitch that. Unfortunately, we drew into the 10 cost, but I actually think we can go for game here, to be quite honest. We can swing 7. Yeah, they just instantly scoop. They didn't have any counter in hand, and they had 2 This Is My Age triggers, which could have gotten them potential counter, but if they're taking the 7, they're going to take the 9, which I would have just swung 9 with Satori and then put the rest on Kid. So we actually were able to pull it out with just having decent bodies, but this matchup is usually really rough. Definitely had some interesting and close games with this Katakuri list. I, once again, feel like this is the better of the two. There was a few games. I think the Purple Luffy one was the second Katakuri list. So I'm going to, just for the case of this video, just showcase this one at the end because I think this is the better of the two here. This deck list, being able to at least get past some blockers and then also have the game plan of searching out your supernovas, I think is a little bit better than just kind of like hoping to draw into things you need. Yeah, and then once again, of course, relying on the 10 cost Big Mom is very nice too. But with that all in mind, let me know what you guys think of this Katakuri build. How would you build Katakuri? Are you leaning more towards the Big Mom Pirates package? Or do you think that there's some room for the supernovas into Katakuri's deck list? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.